So it's official, Taylor Swift is now a billionaire according to Bloomberg. But we're going to do something a bit different in this video. In this video, we're going to be looking at Taylor Swift's journey to be a billionaire and if there are any lessons that we as mere mortals can learn from it. And whilst obviously we may not all have hundreds of millions of dollars or fans all around the world prepared to pay hundreds to go and see you live in concert, I think there are still some really good fundamental personal finance lessons that we can take from it. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to be turning Taylor Swift into our personal finance guru for the day. So let's get into it. She joins an exclusive club of artists who have actually made the successful transition into being a billionaire, but she is one of the only ones who's actually done it exclusively through her music. The first is streaming royalties. She's made an estimated $175 million from streaming royalties alone. But because of the way artists contract and her having been signed when she was 16 years old, it actually means that she only receives about 20% of all gross revenue generated by her streaming royalties. The remaining 80% used to go to Big Machine label group who originally signed her. And then in 2019, those rights were sold to Scooter Braun, who is Justin Bieber's manager. And after lots of back and forth and unpleasantness in the public domain, they were then eventually sold to Shamrock Capital for somewhere in the region of $300 million. She's so dominant across all the DSPs that when it comes to streaming revenue, this is a good, consistent revenue source for her. Next is record sales, estimated to be $125 million. Now, Taylor Swift bucks what has been a global trend for the last, say, 20 years, which is the decline of physical revenue sales. That's CDs, vinyl, all that sort of thing. And basically what she's really done is kind of bucks the trend by embracing it. And in particular vinyl, she can charge a lot more money for it generally. She makes it special edition, signed, limited edition, and so it's really able to justify these higher price tags. So by being one of the few artists who's pushing physical out there, it gives her kind of a captive market. But by far, one of her biggest revenue streams is touring. It doesn't matter which of her global tours you're looking at, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And what this means is that in touring years, she generally will make over $250 million in a single year, and then outside of touring years, she'll generally make between 50 and 100, No one's shedding any tears there. And so this touring revenue has become a really important part of ultimately how she's been able to build this impressive net worth. The next is her catalogue, valued at over $400 million. Now, we just talked about the whole messy saga of her first 6 albums not being owned by her and being kind of passed around from investment firm to investment firm. But one of the things that she's been doing recently is she's been re-recording her first 6 albums. And this does 2 things. It provides a bit of a commercial boost when the re-release comes out, the so-called Taylor versions. So the albums see this kind of uptick in revenue. But more importantly, in fact much more importantly, because they are essentially re-records of the original tracks, she will own the master rights to them, which means that instead of getting only 20% of the royalties that are due, her ownership may be well over 50 or even up to 100% of those rights. So this is potentially an extremely valuable source of income for her, which is only going to get bigger. Conceivably, she may start a wave of other artists who are trapped in these very old school contracts where artists never get to own their rights, and by re-recording they're able to take control of their rights, and especially when it comes to their historic and evergreen catalogues. Bloomberg have also estimated that Taylor Swift has about $150 million in property. She has homes in Nashville, she has homes in Tribeca, she has a home in LA, she has a home in Rhode Island, dotted all over the world and estimated to be worth well over $150 million. So when all is said and done, this gives her a net worth, Bloomberg have estimated, at around $1.1 billion. And I think it's worth pointing out at this stage that she has partnered with a ton of brands such as AT&T, Verizon Wireless, Diet Coke, AirAsia, Qantas, Sony Electronics, Target, and Capital One. Now, let's get the obvious out of the way. Clearly, not all of us have hundreds of millions of fans dotted all around the world who will pay hundreds of dollars or hundreds of pounds to come and see you live, obviously. But I think there are 3 really important lessons that we can learn from Taylor Swift's journey from kind of cafe artist to worldwide global sensation. The first is diversified revenue streams. One of the things that we talk about a lot on this channel is if you are reliant on a single source of income, it puts you in a potentially very vulnerable situation. If you then lose your job, you have no money coming in, you're eating into your savings, you're eating into your emergency fund. And this is something that she's really mastered, and we talked earlier about how she's one of the few artists that's actually investing in physical. It gives her an advantage in those areas. So when it comes to diversifying income, maybe you've got a side hustle, maybe you're on Vinted or Etsy, whatever it may be, but just something that can bring in a bit of extra money, because you never know when you might need it. The second important financial lesson that I think we can learn is she has these off-cycle revenue streams. We talked about how her income, although absolutely gigantic, let's be honest, kind of goes in ebbs and flows. When she's touring, she's making a lot more money than when she's not touring. And so what it means is that she's got these kind of counter-cyclical revenue streams. So in years where she's not touring, she can be doing loads of brand endorsement deals, which I would imagine bring in tens of millions per endorsement for her, given her global profile. And I think the final thing that we can all learn from Taylor Swift is she's really lent into the things that she's good at. As we mentioned, by doubling down on things, she's already producing music, she's already writing music, she's already getting it mastered, she's already getting it marketed. Why not, instead of just relying on streaming income, also lean into physical? So thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.